To the victor go the spoils. That means loads of partying for the Panthers and for some big financial windfall. CJ, Sam Bennett made it pretty clear on the mic last night that he does not plan on leaving Florida. Is that adrenaline possibly other factors talking, or is this all but officially a done deal?
Well, certainly nothing's official and nothing is done at this point in time. And lest I say, anyone who's ever been in a nightclub, maybe at that hour, you don't want what you said to be quoted as a fact. And look, I mean, we know that Florida's a tremendous place to play. Sam Bennett's had a chance now to be in three straight Cup finals, has won two of them, won a Conn Smythe trophy. You can understand why he wants to stay. But for that to make sense, the money has to make sense. And as I understand it, the discussions are still ongoing between his agent and the team in terms of what that contract might look like. And I think what complicates it is we know that this player at this point in time, it's such a special collision of circumstances. If he were ever to go to open market, I think he could absolutely make more money somewhere else than in Florida. But his heart does appear to be with the Panthers. Certainly gave a lot with his teammates there to win another cup, and they're enjoying it right now with some of those celebrations. And we'll see where the business lands here in the next 10 days. But I do think that's his preference, but it doesn't guarantee a deal gets done.
It does make your agent's job a little bit more difficult when you're telling everybody you only want to play one spot. Listen, the vibes around Aaron Ekblad seem to be pretty different when he grabbed the mic at the same party. How likely do you think it is that Ekblad leaves in free agency?
It's tough to get a handle on that. Look at what Florida did in the regular season. They traded for Seth Jones, another big right shot defenseman. It's hard not to at least see that as Ekblad insurance, we'll call it, if there isn't an ability to get a deal done with Ekblad. But I do think he is a player the organization values highly. He was a former first overall pick by the Panthers, was there in some of their more difficult days, and has obviously been a big part of getting them to the point where they stand today as an organization. What I think is going to be the point to watch with this discussion is, what does a term look like for Aaron Ekblad? I think the Panthers, knowing what he's been through physically, would have a little trepidation if the length of the deal is too long, especially in terms of, making that money all align. But again, he's another player where I think when you have the Stanley Cup pedigree he does, and also just plays a premium position, there's not a lot of elite right shot defensemen that ever come available anyway in this league, whether by trade or on the free agent market. That's going to be ultimately a decision I think that he's going to have to make. Can he, work with the Panthers in order to find a deal that makes sense? I mean, in being around him a little bit at the Cup final, I can tell you he was pretty open about saying, I've given my body to this franchise. I want to stay here. Well, now it will, come down to what happens at the table. And it's hard for me to say what he should do or what he shouldn't do. I think he'll have a chance to stay in Florida, but he's probably going to have to leave some money and term on the table in order to do so.
And we can't forget about the other key member of the Panthers party bus. What are you hearing about Brad Marchand's future?
Well, for Marchand, he's in a different spot. Obviously, as a rental player by the Panthers, 37 years old, coming off, second place finish in Conn Smythe Trophy voting. I mean, it's fair to say he's had a bit of a career renaissance since that deal at the deadline down to Florida. And I think for Marchand, the biggest priority is, taking care of his family, taking this rare opportunity at his age where he's really popped, I think, to cash in free agency. And so, I believe he's going to be open-minded when it comes to, what July 1st might bring. I mean, he might have been the perfect Florida Panther. I mean, to see how he fit in with that group immediately, not only was he a deadline trade, he didn't play his first game with the Panthers until the end of March. And you wouldn't know it by the way his teammates embraced him, by the way he fit in from a hockey perspective. And so, I think he's the least likely of that trio to stay in Florida as we're talking right now. But who knows? I mean, if things don't work out with one or more of the other big free agents that the Panthers are dealing with, maybe there's a world that they can put some kind of offer together that makes sense for Brad Marchand. But at this stage of his career, I think he's looking to hit a home run financially, as is his right to do. And, I certainly think there's a number of teams looking at him. The way he looked in another sweater, I think, makes a difference too here. If he was signing out of Boston, you might wonder, well, what happens if you take that player out of Boston? Well, we saw it, and it was a pretty glorious run for Brad Marchand into free agency.
A cup, a party, and now a big financial payoff. That's the ultimate trifecta for all three Panthers' key pending UFAs.